Hello and welcome to a new episode of Business Africa. I am Amel Nga. In this week's issue, discover Wakalat, a chocolate made in Congo that tries, despite the difficulties, to establish itself on the local markets. Support for Ethiopian women entrepreneurs. They have benefited from a €30 million loan from the European Investment Bank to expand their economic activities. The increase in oil exports is benefiting Ghana, which recorded a surplus of $1.7 billion in the second quarter of this year. Maurice Ouakatoulou is a Congolese chocolate producer who started manufacturing Wakalat, the very first Congolese chocolate brand, in 2014. Currently produced in a single format, Wakalat is sold at $2.56 per jar. As a result of self-financing, the company unfortunately still faces several problems, such as a tax on imported products and the scarcity of raw materials in the country. A report by Cedric Seosolo and Michael Db.
There is a move to revive the cocoa sector in the Republic of Congo. Once in a week, this marketing manager pays visit to marketers in Pointe-Noire, the economic capital of Congo Republic, to inquire about the sales of Wakalat. It is a chocolate brand in a Central African nation. Jodia Adele Mongo distributes Congolese chocolate to several shops.
I came here to deliver some Congolese chocolates because we're supposed to control the remaining stock and the stock already sold. The bar of chocolate is sold at 1,500 francs CFA.
The success of the product is due to the know-how of its producer and owner of the homemade chocolate factory. Here, chocolates are not only produced. He tells Africanews the health of the consumers are taken into consideration during production. We have chocolate blankets, so it can be white chocolate, dark chocolate, or milk chocolate. We have cocoa liquor, in other words, diabetic chocolate. Also, we have Wakalat pots, which often increases a child's intellectual abilities. Choco oil is self-financed, but producers have had to resort to imported products to package the final product. This is impacting on retail pricing of the Congolese-made chocolate.
Support for women is a smart investment, to quote Wena Oye, president of the European Investment Bank, on the occasion of Africa Day in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The women of the Ethiopia Women Entrepreneurship Development Project, for example, received a €30 million loan to strengthen the economic inclusion, create jobs, and promote sustainable growth. Bridget Ogwe and Lynette Bahati have more.
Supporting economic growth and gender equity in Ethiopia. A €30 million loan has been given to women entrepreneurs in the country to further boost female economic inclusion and empowerment. The European Investment Bank signed the new loan last week on Thursday with the Ethiopian Ministry of Finance and Economic Cooperation during the bank's Africa Day in the capital, Addis Ababa.
Empowering women is key to enhancing business productivity and catalyzing economic growth, social cohesion, and social justice. As the EU Bank, we are fully committed to the 5th Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls.
Africa Day was created to explore the continent's many challenges and discuss ways to tap into its huge potential. According to the bank officials, the loan will address a major obstacle in the country, especially for women encountering a lack of access to finance for their firms.
I would like to acknowledge the European Investment Bank's recent strong engagement with the Ethiopian government in support of the country's development effort. The bank's financing of public infrastructure, access to finance to SME, private equity investment, and mobile banking are just a few of the areas of engagement.
The 2018 edition of Africa Day was organized in partnership with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization on the theme of sustainable industrialization.
To talk about it, let's go to Luxembourg, where we meet Maria Baragon, Director of the European Investment Bank in charge of lending operations outside Europe. Hello and welcome to Business Africa.
It's a pleasure.
A loan of 30 million euros is a positive initiative to help women entrepreneurs in Ethiopia. But the question is, how can a young entrepreneur from remote areas of the country access this loan?
It was very important for us that we would reach out to the rural areas and to the smaller cities beyond Addis. So what we have done is, in partnership with the World Bank, we will be having one-stop shops in 10 cities in Ethiopia, and there will be publicity in the radio, in television, in different media, in order to create awareness with women entrepreneurs in those regions about these one-stop shops, so that they can come, and there they will have help to build up their own business plans and to develop their business idea, so that we can not only provide finance to them, but also help them in the development of an idea to grow their business. This was very important to us. So the geographical spread and us reaching out to them to provide a comprehensive support. Well, the duration for the loan of EIB is 18 years. This does not mean that the women entrepreneurs will be receiving an 18 years loan, because we are lending through the Ethiopian Development Bank, and they will be passing on the funds to local banks and local microfinance institutions.
There are necessarily conditions to this loan. What is its impact on the beneficiaries, and how can we ensure that it is used for useful purposes?
Yes, so what we do is we ask, before we make any disbursement, we ask already for the list of which ones will be the first generation of beneficiaries. So in a way, they have the loan before we are making the money available to the Ethiopian authorities. That is the first point. Then, in terms of the terms, the financial terms of the loan, it is a concessional loan, therefore with a very reduced interest rate. And this is thanks to the fact that we are funding this loan from what we call the migration package that was put in place inside the EIB with the support of the EU member states for Africa. Because the purpose of these loans is to support women entrepreneurs that are growing their business. So it's not just to stay with a continuation of an existing business. They have to have a business plan of growth of their economic activity and of creation of jobs. What is important is that we create jobs in Africa so that people have an alternative, they have a livelihood, and then they are less prone to risk their lives on the Mediterranean. So it's about job creation for us, and it's a job creation that has to be inclusive, and therefore using women as channels, as actors in development and in economic growth.
The objective of the African Day is to explore the challenges facing the continent and ways to tap into its enormous potential. What work has the bank done so far to make it a reality?
Well, what we're doing is working a lot with the private sector, with private entrepreneurs, be it foreign entrepreneurs that are coming to make investments in African countries, or with local African companies that are growing. And the topic of our Africa Day last week in Addis was precisely sustainable industrialization. So it is about using the local capacities of Africa and providing value added so that they are not just exporting raw materials, that they are doing some degree of value added industrialization on those raw materials, and that therefore they increase the income and they increase the creation of jobs. There is a lot of economic growth happening in Africa, but unfortunately, it is not benefiting the whole population because it is not job creating. So the purpose was precisely to analyze what are the types of issues that companies are finding, what are the obstacles that they are finding, and access to finance is clearly one of the biggest obstacles that companies are finding in Africa. So they do not have access to long-term finance, and therefore they cannot invest in new machinery, in new factories that will be requiring new jobs. And this was what we were talking about, both with the private sector and also with the authorities of Ethiopia, but there were representatives from many other countries of Africa, because we want to work with the governments to provide the right environment for the private sector to develop.
Thank you, Maria Shobaragan, for answering our questions. Maria is a director of the European Investment Bank responsible for lending operations outside Europe.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much to you.
Ghana was able to benefit from the increase in its oil exports in the second quarter of 2018, according to the central bank, which reports a surplus of $1.7 billion. Details to follow after the break.